Good evening, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is going to be our reaction, review, slackjaw, whatever. We're going to try to get through this of Ahsoka, episodes 1 and 2, Master and Apprentice, and Foil and...
Toil
and Trouble.
Right.
I have some thoughts before we get into the shows. One, we have discussed this in the past. We are very much on the writers and actors' side of the strike. However, we are just reacting to the stuff that we saw. And those people who didn't work on this show don't make this show happen. So it's kind of this weird line of, I want to support the people who made it, but I also don't want to support the people who paid to have it made. And so we are going to do a weekly discussion about the show. If you think we're being scabs or not like that, don't like that, I understand. I totally get it. But we're fans first, and we're not doing this for money. We're doing this because we love it.
Right. And they already came out and said that reactors were.
Yeah. So like new rock stars and Star Wars Explained and stuff like that are actually doing stuff. Force Center is not, because 2 of their members are directly involved with the guild.
They are members of the guild.
The SAG. So, 2, I want to discuss before we get into the episodes. Do you like this Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, Game of Thrones is on, the whole world is watching setup?
Sure. I mean, we've missed some appointment watching TV. You know, everything's just kind of come out at midnight or whatever, the middle of the night for most of us. And so you just get to it when you get to it. And people who don't have 9-to-5 jobs get to it before the rest of us do. But, yeah.
I really, when they announced this, that they were going to do this for this 2-part premiere, I want them to stick with this. I want them to do this with Marvel. I want them to do this with if they do another Limitless or whatever. I want this appointment viewing television to come back.
Yeah.
And I like the streaming. As soon as these 2 episodes were done, I'm like, I want more. I want more, because they were that good.
Yeah.
But and we'll go back and rewatch all of them in one sitting too.
Oh yeah.
But for this show, I want it week to week. I want it 6 o'clock on Tuesdays, and let's go.
Yeah.
And let's go.
We haven't had that since, HBO. HBO loves to do that with the...
And we haven't had it since House of Cards. For us.
No.
Not House of Cards, House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon, yeah.
Cards. We did not do it with Lord of the Rings, because that just didn't keep the Rings of Power. Just didn't keep our attention and stuff. So, okay, let's talk about these 2 episodes. First, we have So what we're going to do, if you haven't been around for one of our reactions before, we wander and discuss different points that really hit us harder than other parts. We don't do a frame-by-frame breakdown, although I did a lot of looking in the background going, there's a Lothcat, there's a bunch of helmets. And so there was... So if you haven't been through one of these processes with us, we're going to ramble on for a bit. And then we're going to do both episodes in one sitting. And try not to make it 8 hours. So with all of that being said, let's start with these 2 episodes. I know I love them.
Shocker. Spoilers.
What are your initial thoughts and reactions?
I like them. I'm not sure I love them yet, but I didn't watch the Clone Wars. I'm not emotionally attached to these characters like some people in this room. Right. Where's your giant Ezra?
He's up there.
Oh. It's very different feeling than what we've been getting recently with The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, and I'm okay with that. It's just a moment of adjustment. Yeah. It's almost kind of feels like the episode of Mandalorian that nobody liked, with Chopper's going to talk to us.
Agreeing.
With Lizzo and Jack Black, where,
right?
Like everything's very bright, like very bright.
Yeah.
And colorful in some parts, and then just very white in other parts, and so that's just taking a little getting used to, and you kind of get that at the very beginning because there's a scroll which they have not done outside of the movies at all.
Yeah. And not even all the movies.
There wasn't
Rogue One and Solo didn't have. Solo had, it wasn't a scroll; it was a title card.
Yeah. And then you start in space, which all the Star Wars movies start in space. So that's your first hint right off the bat.
It's like Dave actually learned from George Lucas or something.
I know. Do they know each other?
I don't think so. I think they met passing at the Lucasfilm hallway one time. They just kind of, oh, hey, Dave. Hey, George. I want to talk about how it feels different, because I think that might be something that people might butt up against, which is fine. I think they expected this show to be this action-packed Rebels 2.0. We're off to see the wonderful wizard of Purgletown. Just getting into it, and they've spent 2 episodes essentially setting up what the story's going to be for the next 6. But they also spent time with the emotions of Ahsoka, Sabine, Hera still being space mom, still talking to everybody like, you should really talk to her. No, you should really talk to her.
It's a reason she is a general.
She is a general, right? But long before she was a general, she was the captain of the Ghost, and she was like the default mom of the whole group, and so she did the mom thing, which is up. But it definitely feels very different on purpose. Even though Dave's involved with Book of Boba Fett with the Mandalorian, he was definitely directly involved with that. That's much more of a space western adventure of the week, what Star Wars core base story is, and this is the philosophy, the in depth. Let's talk about the Force, the meaning of the Force, what it really could mean if somebody big and powerful like Thrawn comes back for the heir of the Empire kind of concept. So it's definitely a different speed to it. I like that. I like that they are choosing to do different things back and forth with the shows, and some are. I'm waiting for the Lando series to be the Lando on adventures, smiling and giggling and doing stuff the entire time. So with that being said, let's talk about just the idea that Ahsoka and Sabine master apprentice relationship that has gone sour. Seeing Ahsoka be this, I don't want to call her grumpy, but she has been through so much in her life that she doesn't know how to. She's pushing everybody away.
Mm-hmm.
At this point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And she's emotionally unavailable, which is not a Jedi trait, but she is not a Jedi.
Right.
And
it's a little different than kind of what we saw in Book of Boba Fett with Grogu, right?
Yeah.
In that she has a bit of a connection with him, or is more motherly towards him, or not. I mean, she's not overly affectionate, but she is a little more
space ant.
Yeah. And so it is a little jarring that she does seem grumpy.
Mm-hmm. So the timeline is the events of this are going along with season 3 and the Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
So that whole time period is kind of where the show is landing at.
Yeah.
So
this is probably like after she leaves Grogu and Luke at the academy.
That's where I would say it is, but I don't think anybody's come out and said this is the exact point in the timeline kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did see a timeline, Ahsoka timeline video today, but I didn't watch it. I wanted to go kind of fresh into what I was thinking, where we're at.
Yeah.
I'll do research for the next episode. But there's obviously been a rift between Sabine and Ahsoka. Now Sabine's very hard headed. She is Mandalorian. She's one of the reasons she wasn't able to make it through the Imperial Academy, or she made it through the Imperial Academy. One of the reasons she didn't stay on is because she was so free will thinking.
Yeah.
And then so she carried that with her, and that chip on her shoulder for everything that happened with her working for the Empire through Rebels. And so she still has that chip on her shoulder, even though she's worked through a lot of that trauma. She's definitely got through some stuff, but apparently not all the way through. And then you have Ahsoka, who has lost everyone essentially around her, and instead of trying to not help, that's not the right word. Instead of trying to work through her trauma by helping somebody else work through their trauma, she just ran away again, which they pointed out in these 2 episodes that she did leave Anakin. And she still feels in her heart that part of the reason why Anakin fell was because she wasn't there.
Right.
And so now she's
probably not true, but
it wasn't not part of the pile of reasons why Anakin fell.
I mean, nature or nurture? Were you born that way, or did you?
Yeah.
It's probably a little more nature in Anakin's case, but
Mace Windu is a dick. Just saying. Like, if Mace was nice to Anakin for 5 minutes, we wouldn't have this.
Okay. Okay, we'll suffice it to say that Anakin was both, but it was nature to begin with.
It was,
and then Palpatine came in and was like,
yep. And he worm tongue in his ear the whole time. Yeah, making another Lord of the Rings reference. We're gonna make a Game of Thrones reference here in a minute. We'll get into that. So they obviously have worked out. Sabine and Ahsoka have worked out something enough that they're gonna work together to.
Right. Well, Sabine was the bigger person. Now Hera, kind of put it in her ear.
Yeah.
But between the two of them, she was, she's supposed to be the Padawan, and she was the bigger person.
Yeah.
And said, "Okay, I really want this, and so I'm just going to tell her, in so many words, I really want this. I really want to, and so, yeah."
I love that the Hera Ahsoka conversation with Hera saying that she wants to do it. You want it to happen, and Ahsoka saying, "Well, she's not ready." And Hera's like, "Yes, she is." And she's like, "No, I will know when she's ready, and she will know when she's ready."
Yeah.
And her cutting her hair, putting her Mandalorian armor back on was definitely her like, "Okay, I'm ready." And then she called her Ahsoka called her Padawan when they at the end of the second episode.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to talk about Hu Yang for a hot minute. Hu Yang.
I can't not hear David
Tennant. It's obviously David Tennant.
I can't not hear him
in a tinny microphone. He is such a big part of the Clone Wars with the Padawans. He is part of the arc where they go and they get the Kyber crystals, and they go on each of the Padawans go on their little quest to get there, and he's one of the most ancient droids in the Star Wars universe. He was one of the first droids he was one of the first things built after the Jedi Temple, and he has a catalog of all the lightsabers that are ever built.
Right.
That he knows of. Like, he doesn't know about Luke's one because Luke built it outside of Hu Yang, and he knows about Ezra's because of his connection with Ahsoka and Sabine, but he didn't know about that one until he probably doesn't know about the gun one, which I would love to have the conversation about. Ezra building a gun saber and Hu Yang going, "What is that? This is so wrong." But I just like I we all fall in love with whatever droid is in the new show. Except this is an old droid that some of us have known for a very long time, but with that, you're gonna. It's nice to have a deadpan counterpoint to point out all the things that nobody wants to actually talk about.
Right. He has no filter, which, I mean, he's a droid, so he doesn't.
He doesn't have a filter, but he's also a gazillion years old.
Yeah.
And him saying of all the Padawans, you've got the least a force ability, least of force to be, is what she needs to hear, even if it is rough in the way he did it.
Yeah.
And so I was just one of those things where I was like, ooh, damn. That's on point. Like, because sometimes you just need somebody to tell you plainly what it is.
Yeah.
That you kind of think in your back of your head.
Yeah.
And he definitely totally does that.
Yeah. And maybe just pokes her to, well, I'll show you. Right.
Right. Let's talk about I didn't look it up. Oh, I want to talk about Lothal. Lothal looks just like it is out of Rebels, and Sabine taking the tower and making it her home, the communications tower. Yeah, I like I like that they are. I'm looking for. No, that's not Modok. Those two. I like that they incorporate that. They incorporate the freeway system and all the buildings, but it's also prospering under I can't remember. Ryder Azadi. Ryder Azadi is somebody from Lothal who is the leader of the resistance on Lothal during the time of the Empire. He was the president or something. I can't remember what his typical, but Clancy Brown has played 17 different characters on Star Wars, and so I was just happy that he was there. But I really liked the way it looked. Everything, the ships looked amazing. Lothal looks amazing. They were at the shipyard in Corellia. They mentioned Corellia. They go to Corellia. The whole conversation on the transport with I know, that they're in the volume and the stuff was going in the background, but it looks like they're on freaking Corellia.
Yeah.
Morgan Elsbeth. So Balin Skull and Shin Hate. Let's talk about them. We know from the trailers that Balin is a former Jedi. They mention it in the show that he disappeared during Order 66, like everyone else did. And Shin Hate is very much the I have found somebody who is sensitive in the Force, and so I'm going to train her, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they have their own plan.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think they're with the witch. What was her name?
Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah, Morgan.
I think they're working. I think it's a mutual.
Yeah, they all want Thrawn.
They all want
to bring Thrawn back. So
yes,
they're all working towards the same end.
Yes,
not necessarily together as a team.
We're all going the same direction, so we're going to help each other.
So yes.
Yeah. But Balin actually saying, some people when we find Thrawn will lead to a war, and it will lead to a new empire. And Shin asking him, "What's that mean for us?" And he's like, "Power in which you've never imagined, or whatever." So I'm wondering what Balin thinks is in the unknown reaches, Purgle Town. I love the little hints that they had of the Purgles.
Yeah.
Through in the petroglyphs, and there was one over where the clock turning on the satellites. This is the direction thing we're going. But he definitely thinks that he's going to get some ultimate power.
Yeah. But what that means, like power, like enhanced force, or power like he's gonna be Thrawn's right hand man.
Yeah.
Or like what means yet.
Yeah. I'm interested about where they actually try to explain that, because I think that'll be like episode 4 or 5 of the 8, where his ultimate goal is something, and I feel as if it's something to do with the world between worlds. Now, I'm only projecting, but the idea of the world between worlds, where you can kind of do a version of time travel in the Star Wars universe. It's not really time travel. You're watching echoes of events throughout time. And so it's kind of inside the cosmic force, where you're able to see events that happen that are connected to the force. And Ezra finds the the gateway between one of the gateways of the world between worlds, and then destroys it so Palpatine can't get it. But when he's in there, that's how he saves Ahsoka, and that's how we get Ahsoka back. And then he tries to save Kanan, and Ahsoka kind of talks him out of it. And then she goes back through the portal to her time. So there's like a whole like from that whole story, from when that happens to now, Ahsoka has never seen Ezra again.
Right.
And so that's why I keep like kind of every became like it could be the world between worlds, and Balin is trying to go and pull somebody out of their spot in the Force, and then bring him to today.
Right.
So, or it's a Sith holocron, or it's the soul of Prime Jedi, or something along that line. It could be anything, but they're leaving it vague enough.
Yeah.
We have Thrawn.
Right. We know we have Thrawn. Yes.
Trying to think of anything else. We got Chopper, or Sweet Boy. We got Modoc. We were deciding his name was. He's the one with the circular lightsaber.
Yeah.
It's Modoc. No real explanation of who he is.
Yeah. He's the Darth Maul-esque character.
He has the armor of the fifth brother.
Yeah.
The eighth brother of the Inquisitor. He has an Inquisitor blade, so people are saying that he is the eighth brother, but we never saw the eighth brother die. Just because you fall from a high place in Star Wars doesn't mean you get.
So you see the body.
Just because you get stabbed in the stomach with a lightsaber,
it's cauterized.
It's cauterized. That's the point of actually lightsabers. It is the actual point.
I would like to point out that in The Mandalorian, we discussed multiple times how bad of an idea it was to just have all these Imperial ships laying around.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing more of why this is such a bad idea.
I will do a short dissertation on this. Short. I swear to God, it's a dissertation. One of the major things in Bloodline and in the Aftermath series, the books, is the demilitarization of the Empire by the New Republic itself, demilitarizing, and then taking the scraps of the Empire and de-arming all of that stuff. And that it's a huge.
So they think.
It's such a huge thing that Mothma believed that the Empire ruled with an iron fist and a hammer and a Death Star and ships upon ships upon ships. That a New Republic can't rule that way. And so by them de-arming themselves, opens themselves up to people who were still loyal to the Empire, thought the Empire was a good thing.
Yeah, and there's too much. There's not enough people for oversight. So you have all these, random shipyards and even on Coruscant, the one that one was on Coruscant and nobody's paying attention, right? Yeah. So, ultimately they probably should have just taken them out to some weird asteroid belt and blowing everything up.
They should have scuttled all of them. Is what they really should have done.
Right, but what do you do with all that?
Right.
I mean, that's the conundrum. That's what we kind of talked about in The Mandalorian. Was there was so much stuff, but yeah, it's like, it's like after a war here, there's just stuff sitting around.
Yep.
There's tanks sitting around, or guns sitting around, or unexploded, you know, landmines and bombs and stuff. And it's like, how do you dispose of that without having some underbelly, corruption
the
thing
the
happening?
fall the fall of the Cold War led to all of that weaponry being used in the Middle East and Africa.
There's a Nicolas Cage movie called Lord of War where they talk all about
yeah.
all of that.
So it's that concept of
Yeah.
and what you're supposed to do with it. But it's so important to understand that the New Republic is trying their best and letting everybody have a seat at the table, and there's still people who thought the imperial system was the right system. There's people in the Senate,
Yeah,
who are imperial sympathizers. That's a big word for and they continue to fight for the base ideals that the Empire had.
but like Hera and Ahsoka said, like, because was it Ahsoka or Hera that said, "I can't believe that they still believe in the Empire," and the other one said they. I think it was Ahsoka that said it to Hera, and then
Yeah.
Hera said they don't believe in the Empire; they believe in the money.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
they don't care about their ideals; they care about their pockets.
Yeah, and
Like some
that's
politicians.
that's that is a ongoing story, not just in Star Wars, but in world politics
Yeah.
and real world
Yeah.
politics, and will be for the end of time, because there's not an answer that is correct. But I love that but Star Wars itself continues to do these real world one for one comparisons of what's going on and wrapping it up in lightsabers and space wizards and spaceships, and then pointing to the thing and saying, this is the thing. And people are like, but the Empire's still cool. They got all the coolest ships and their uniforms are cool. And it's like, you're missing the whole point. I want to talk about Morgan Elsbeth being an ancestor of the Night Witches. They said Night Witches. Ahsoka found the map in the Night Witch room. Shit's gonna get weird. The Night Witches are weird. Star Wars can be weird. Night Witches are the weird part of it. Space whales. We have space whales that can use light speed. So it's gonna be weird. But that's a confirmation, at least for us, that we're kind of speculating that she was at least connected to Night Witches somehow. She said they were her ancestors. She used Night Witches' powers to open the map. So that was kind of cool. And then there's just a ton of different things. I'm just trying to run through my head. Like, I think we've had all the big points of all the kind of story points of everything that happened. But like, there's just a ton of different details of. You could just spend an hour in Sabine's room. Her emblem, the fire emblem. Let me fix it. That one is on her wall. It's like half of her one wall.
Yeah, there's the drawings in Ahsoka's ship where the beds are or whatever. There's the big, looks almost like the cartoon drawing.
The mural.
Yeah, the mural.
Yeah. That's most of that scene. Is pretty close to one for one from the epilogue of Rebels. The only thing that was different is it was Ahsoka the White and not Ahsoka the Gray. I don't think we are good. I don't know if we'll get to it in this series. I'm hoping in season 2 we get Ahsoka's final kind of getting to her true level of knighthood, her travel, her full understanding of the Force. She is obnoxiously powerful in the Force. She showed it multiple times in the first 2 episodes, but she's also doesn't believe. She fundamentally believes in what the Force and the Jedi should be, and then she had that all pulled from her because the Jedi Order at that point in time were narcissistic assholes. So, good. I down with the Jedi. I am not a dark side user. I am much more like Ahsoka and Keith Tevis and the High Republic, who are way seekers. Okay. But overall, I think this is a really, really, really good start for this show. There's been a lot of complaints overall in fandom right now about there being too much content. But for Star Wars itself, this is the first live action thing we've had since The Mandalorian. And when this gets done, we have uh uh what's it called? The Jude Law show. I can't remember what it's called. The Amblin Jude Law with a bunch of kids.
Oh.
That it will be the next thing. I think it's this fall. And then we have what it's going to be in the movie, probably 2025 or something. But a lot of people are complaining there's been too much Marvel stuff. There might be some legitimacy to that, where there's 5 shows in a season and 3 movies, and it's hard to keep up with all that.
Yeah, I mean, they've already said they're cutting back on stuff. So.
Yeah. But I like that they've taken some time. They pulled back. They did Indiana Jones. Lucasfilm did Indiana Jones. That was really, 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 really good. Don't listen to the internet. It was really, really, really good. They did that. Paused.
Yeah.
Now here is one of the most beloved characters in her redemption story of actually why she should be a Jedi Master and stuff. And there was a couple times where she said things, and I'm like, "That's Yoda talking." I guess that's everything I want to cover, at least right now. You have anything else?
Nope.
I'm trying really hard not to like. And then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this, and this, and this. So let us know what you thought of these 2 episodes from the Ahsoka series in the comments down below. Please be nice. That is a huge requirement around here. You're missing the point. We're better off with it altogether. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, follow us on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Links in the description down below. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.